Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about a movie I saw a few days ago, which is Midsommar, or Midsommar. Um, Directed by Ari Aster, who directed Hereditary. I haven't watched that movie, but I heard it's very good. So I had a little bit of expectations going in, and I wanted to talk about this movie because this is definitely a movie. First of all, I would call it a horror movie. There are a lot of scary moments in it, but I also would call it a psychological thriller. Um, uh, in a sense, the movie itself is not for the light of heart. I would say there are a lot of grotesque scenes in it, and if you are not comfortable with grotesque scenes or grotesque concepts, you probably should not watch this movie, as this movie will not make you happy when you leave the theater. However, this movie is stunning in terms of its shot composition, its colors. It was absolutely beautiful. While I was watching it, I was very impressed with what the director has been able to do with as his second movie. So that was pretty cool. As for the performances, I recognized a few of them. I didn't really recognize the actors themselves, but I thought they were all very good. I thought they were all very convincing, and they showed emotion and made these relationships between the characters feel like real, if you know what I mean. So these characters that the movie sets up actually felt like human beings with emotions and problems and relationships, and how they interact with other characters felt like humans, and I thought that was great. As for the plot of this movie, it takes a while to get going. This movie is actually pretty slow when it gets to the unsettling bits. There are some horror thriller suspense moments sprinkled in there in the beginning, but most of it's very slow. In fact, I would compare the movie structure to be a little bit like The Shining. I'm reading the book The Shining right now. I'm nearing the end of it. I don't know how the film is actually structured, but the book The Shining does a similar thing where it takes its time to develop some of these main characters and develop the relationships between the characters. Very complex and three-dimensional. This movie also does the same with a variety of characters. But as for the characters, I felt that some characters were dismissed rather too quickly, where I thought there could have been a little bit more development in the latter stages of the plot. As in the near end of the movie, I would have liked to see how some of the characters that were removed from the plot earlier on reacted to certain events happening near the end of the movie. Overall, I wouldn't. It's really hard to judge a movie like this, because how do you judge a movie to be good? Do you judge a movie on how it makes you feel when you leave it? In that case, would you say would it be a good movie if you were satisfied? But I don't think this movie gives you any sort of satisfaction. However, as an art form, is this movie a beauty? I would say of course it is, because it manages to not only convey a sense of horror and suspense in a new, different kind of way, which is at the same time aesthetically beautiful, but it is able to construct these very three-dimensional characters that play well off of other characters that are constructed as well as they are. I would say this movie is a pure not a masterpiece, I would say, but it was a good time. I would say some moments felt like maybe this is too much. In the theater. All right, so for the casual moviegoer, this movie will be a roller coaster for you, because I saw this guy it was a packed theater when I watched it. The first act of the movie, there was this one guy who literally was snoring in the first act. so the woman behind him had to like wake him up, and I never heard any of the snores going to the end of the second act and maybe to the third act. There was laughter among the audience because some of these scenes were so over the top, maybe I wouldn't say. So how could you ever think of this as a scriptwriter? Not hilarious, but like awestruck that I was laughing at a few scenes too. Maybe that was what the director and screenwriter intended, but I had a good time with this movie. I didn't feel very emotionally, I did not feel very good after watching it, but I did feel like I've watched an actual movie. This director who wanted to give a new experience to the audience. And in that case, I would recommend Midsommar. That's what I think about that movie. I do want to watch Hereditary. Recently, I watched Argo, directed by Ben Affleck, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and some of the criticisms it's been getting. Maybe I'll address that in the next video.